He's clearly one of the most legendary investors in the world. He rose to fame in the 1970s when he partnered George Soros to start the Quantum Fund, a fund that gave returns of 4,200% in a matter of just 10 years. It was a pleasure for me to talk earlier with Jim Rogers to get his view on what's happening as far as commodities are concerned. Because remember, Jim Rogers is perhaps one of the world's best known commodities investors. I began by asking him about the big oil price crash that we've seen. Mr. Rogers, thanks so much for talking to NDTV. We've seen oil prices tumbling 40%. Are you surprised by the slump that we are seeing in oil prices?
Well, yes, I am surprised. I knew that Saudi Arabia was going to dump oil because America instructed them to put pressure on Iran and Russia, and they were happy because of the fracking problems in the U.S. I did not expect it to go this far. You are correct.
Okay, so clearly you had not expected oil prices to go so far, but now reports suggesting that we could see oil prices dip further, some even talking about $40 a barrel. Do you think that could be a reality, to see oil at $40 a barrel?
Well, could. Of course it could. Anything can happen in markets. I've never said nothing could happen. Will it? Probably not. I do know that markets, when they go up, go too far up. And when they go down more than they should. I don't know how low it will go, but I do know there's momentum on the downside now, and the Saudis continue to dump.
Okay, Saudi Arabia continuing to dump, and that's one of the main reasons why you're saying prices are going down. Of course, there is an oversupply in the market. Explain to our viewers, because many analysts saying it's actually the shale boom in America that's leading to prices fall so much, or do you entirely blame it on geopolitics right now, as you're saying, America using Saudi Arabia to put pressure on Iran and Russia?
Well, what's happened is in America, there was a shale boom. You have to drill those wells under your leases. You have to drill a lot. So a lot of oil came on stream, a lot of supply. They're short-lived wells. The production goes down rapidly after 1 year. But since there was so much drilling, a lot of supply came on. And then America is having problems with Iran, trying to put pressure on Iran and trying to put pressure on Russia. So America instructed Saudi Arabia to dump oil, which they've been doing. Saudi Arabia was happy to do it, to put pressure on the frackers. Some of the fracking companies will go out of business at prices this low because they borrowed huge amounts of money at high interest rates. So you'll see some people going bankrupt. This will have a longer term effect. It will scare some people in the fracking business. But oil prices will go back up once this artificial occurrence stops.
So clearly oil being used as a weapon in geopolitical wars right now. Let me shift focus, Mr. Rogers, and talk about India. You're one investor who's been an India skeptic all through. Have you now changed your mind given what's happening in the Indian economy? A new government has taken charge, is making big promises. And of course, we've seen almost everyone being bullish on India right now. Are you buying into the Indian stock markets right now?
Well, no, I bought an Indian ETF a month or two ago because he says the right things. I'm still somewhat skeptical. He has done nothing but talk so far, but I own some Indian shares for the first time in a long time. And if he produces, I'll probably buy more. If he doesn't, I and many other people will sell because we're disappointed.
Right, Mr. Rogers, it's good to hear you say that you will probably buy more, but you've also put in a caveat there saying that if you don't see results, you're going to sell. So is it fair to say now that Mr. Modi's promises have made you change your view on the Indian economy for someone who's been so skeptical all this while?
Well, Mr. Modi, I mean, you read what he says. He's done some very good things before in his province. He still says a lot of good things. The problem is, it's been a few months. We want to start seeing some action soon. We would like to see him open the Indian markets. We would like to see him do a lot of things. So I bought because of his talk. Now he's got to walk the walk.
Okay. So if there's a message that you have for Prime Minister Modi, there are three things that you want the Prime Minister to do that will make you buy more into Indian markets. What are those three things?
Make the currency completely convertible. Make it possible for everybody in the world to buy and sell assets in India, and to get rid of a lot of those regulations. I mean, it's the most bureaucratic country in the world. You learned bureaucracy from the English, and then you took it to a higher level still. Get rid of all of them.
All right, the most bureaucratic country in the world. Strong words there from you, Mr. Rogers. But let me quickly get a view from you on the kind of diplomatic efforts we're seeing being made by Prime Minister Modi. It's an important week. We're going to see President Putin visiting India. Of course, next month we've got that historic visit by President Obama also here in India. Two very, very important economies, America and Russia, and we'll see heads of state both coming here. Share with us how significant is it from the geopolitical point of view, and what are you expecting from these two visits?
Well, you know, those are two extremely important countries. Mr. Modi, I hope, is going to get it right for India. Everybody knows we have to do something about the U.S. dollar. I hope he and the Chinese and the Russians and the others can continue doing something to compete with the U.S. dollar. I have no idea how he's going to wind up, but he certainly needs to be friends with China, with Russia, with all the people in his neighborhood, and I hope he can pull that off.
Okay, Mr. Rogers, I'm going to talk about Russia in greater detail in just a bit, and of course the ruble that's been collapsing. But first, your view on the Indian currency, because although we've seen some weakness come in the past couple of weeks, but overall, if we compare the Indian currency today to where it was perhaps last year around the same time, or sometime in August last year, where we'd seen a complete free fall of the currency, the taper tantrum had sent the currency tumbling, and now at least we see that overall the view on the currency is that it's much more stable. Who would you really credit with this? Do you think it's the central bank that's done a commendable job?
Well, as I've said to you before, your central bank is doing a much better job than most. It's certainly doing less bad job than most central banks. I wish your central bank were running the American central bank. So they are doing a fairly good job compared to others. Many currencies are down again because the dollar is so strong. I own the U.S. dollar, as we've discussed before. I don't know how much longer, but what is happening with all the turmoil, many people are fleeing to the dollar as a safe haven. It is not a safe haven, but people think it is, so I own it because of that. Yes, your currency's done better, but because your central bank is doing a fairly good job. Will it continue? I do expect the dollar to continue stronger for a while.
The dollar will continue to be strong for a while. India's central bank doing a commendable job there, and at least for now we are seeing that from a time when the rupee was the worst performing currency among emerging markets, now at least we're not seeing that kind of a scenario. Mr. Rogers, it's great to hear you say such good things about India's central bank. So with Dr. Raghuram Rajan as the RBI governor and Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister, is it fair to say that the Indian economy is in safe hands?
I prefer the central banker at this point. If the Prime Minister can do what he says, and if he can start producing some real results, then India might become a very, very exciting place.
Okay, Mr. Rogers, let me focus back on the Indian equity markets, because we are seeing returns of 35%. And again, if we compare it with other emerging markets, these are fantastic returns that we've seen the Indian markets deliver. Now, share with us why you don't think that India is clearly one of the best markets right now. Do you think valuations are a bit stretched, and why wouldn't you buy in more just for the fact that we've seen such good returns coming in?
Well, as I said, I own it. I am surprised it's gone up that much on just talk so far. But it's certainly done a brilliant, brilliant job. But again, it's getting stretched unless some action takes place. Even if action does take place, it's still stretched. You point out it's gone up a great deal. It's not a cheap market, not anymore.
Okay, the Indian equity markets are not cheap anymore. A strong point coming from you, Mr. Rogers. But you've right now said that markets have gone up only on talk, and it's time for Prime Minister Modi to walk the talk. But has it also not gone up on mere fundamentals? For instance, oil. Now, that's something that's going to benefit the Indian economy immensely. If oil prices drop 40% for a country that imports 80% of its oil, that's a huge positive. And those are perhaps some of the other factors that are pushing up Indian equity markets as well.
Well, it's your largest single import, so of course it's helping you. Prices are down a lot. That means your import problems are down a great deal. As long as oil is down, that will help you a lot. That and cooking oil, you know, if you can get cooking oil down too, all of these things will be good for India. But India is not going to be a great investment destination for me until I see serious, sound restructuring in the economy. And so far, I don't see it.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, I can't not talk to you about gold because everyone's waiting to know whether Jim Rogers is going to buy gold or not. Share with our viewers if you're buying gold at this point in time.
I am not buying gold. I've told you many times I'm not buying gold. I own gold. I'm not selling it. I've hedged a little bit of my gold. I am not buying gold yet.
Okay, you're not buying gold right now, but would you advise people to buy gold? Because again, that's a question on everyone's mind. It's seen a considerable drop in prices. Many people feel it's a good buying opportunity. And if not, then at what levels would you start buying into gold? Maybe when it drops to nearly half of its lifetime highs?
I'm not buying gold right now. I cannot advise people. Watch NDTV. They can tell you every day what to do. I am not buying gold right now. If it goes under 1,000, my plan is that I would start buying gold again. It may not happen. You know, if it goes under 1,000, that's only a 50% correction from the all-time high. Most things have 50% corrections every 3 or 4 years. Gold has not in many years. If it goes there, I will buy more.
Okay, so very clear view from Jim Rogers there. You'll buy gold if it falls to below $1,000 an ounce. I have to get your view on the one economy that you continue to be very, very bullish on right now. If you had to put in your money in one place, which is that one economy, which is that one asset class where you would put in your money?
North Korea. I would put all of my money into North Korea if I could. It's very difficult for me because I'm an American. America makes it, I live in the land of the free. It's illegal for us people from the land of the free to do a lot of things. I would love to put a lot of money into North Korea.
Mr. Rogers, the Russian economy is in shambles right now. We've seen the ruble going down dramatically. At the same time, you're someone who continues to be bullish on Russia. Why is that so?
Yeah, the ruble is collapsing. It's not just going down. Yes, I own Russian shares. I plan to buy more. I'm amazed that my Russian shares haven't gone, in fact, they haven't gone down much at all. That's partly for a variety of reasons. Most of the problems in the Russian stock market right now are the collapse of the ruble. That's why shares are down and adjusted for U.S. dollars. No, Russia has huge reserves. I am interested in buying more in Russia. I am not buying today.
All right, continuing to be bullish on Russia, not buying today, but plan to buy more. Mr. Rogers, you've been very bullish on the Chinese economy all through. Plenty of concerns there now with the China slowdown. Do you continue to be bullish? Do you continue to buy into the Chinese markets?
Well, as you know, I've been buying Chinese shares since last November of 2013. I continue to buy shares. I bought more shares in China last week. Sure, some people in China are going to go bankrupt, but some sectors of the Chinese economy are going to do extremely well. I hope those are the areas where I have been buying.
Okay, I can't talk China and not ask you about India versus China. I know you're an India skeptic. I know you're bullish on China. At the same time, how do you react to reports that suggest that India could overtake China in terms of growth rates in a matter of a few years?
And of course not. You know it's not going to happen as well as I do. You're talking about the India propaganda again. Mr. Modi's telling people that. It's not going to happen until he opens up the economy, gets rid of the bureaucracy, until he makes a lot of the basic fundamental changes that need to be made in India and have been needed for 60 years.
Okay, but many believe Mr. Modi can make that happen, and we need your views on what can he do to make it happen.
I said he should make the currency completely convertible. Get rid of all of these controls. This is not 1954. This is 2014. He should make it, you know, it's very difficult for foreigners to buy and sell anything in India. He should change that. Should open the markets completely. And my goodness, that bureaucracy is the worst bureaucracy. I've traveled around the world, as you know, a couple of times. I've seen all the bureaucracies. Yours is the worst. I cannot believe. I don't know why he hasn't cleaned them out. He says all the right things. Why hasn't he done something?
Okay. We've heard your view on India. We've heard the kind of impatience that you have in terms of seeing actual results. But let me go back to what's happening in the global economy and get a view from you on the action that's expected from the U.S. Federal Reserve. A rate hike is almost imminent. What's the kind of impact that it will have on economies around the world like India?
Well, I don't know when they'll raise rates. The market is raising, will have more influence than the Fed. The Fed mainly just follows the market. It will have a negative effect when they raise rates on all markets, at least temporarily. I would suggest you buy that when the market's correct on the next rate increase in the U.S. because it will take 3 or 4 rate increases before it to have any serious effect on most markets around the world.
Okay, Mr. Rogers, your view on the Eurozone right now. We know the stimulus in America has ended, but Eurozone clearly in need for that stimulus right now. The overall region, Eurozone, clearly not showing the kind of recovery that was expected. Are you buying into the Euro or the Eurozone right now?
Well, I'm not buying the Euro or the Eurozone, mainly because, as I said, the U.S. dollar is seen as a safe haven for people, so people are fleeing to the dollar, and most currencies around the world are suffering. We're going to have more currency turmoil. So I find better opportunities elsewhere. Japan, China, Russia. I've mentioned some of the places.
Okay, Japan, China, Russia, those are the economies you're bullish on right now. Very clear views from you there, but I have to talk to you overall on commodities as an asset class, because you've really been a bull on commodities. You're the one who promoted commodities in a big way, and we've seen this big crash coming in now. Do you continue to be bullish on commodities despite the kind of crash that we've seen? And within commodities largely, which areas would you like to buy into right now, given the way prices have gone down?
Well, I prefer agriculture, as we've discussed before. Of course, I'm disappointed when something I own goes down. You never want anything you own to go down. Fortunately, I own a lot of airlines, as we've discussed, and they're all going through the roof. I hadn't quite thought about all of that, but the airlines are going through the roof. China's going through the roof. No, I'm not changing my commodity approach at all, not at the moment.
You're not changing your commodity approach for sure, but the oil slump likely to continue for a little longer, Mr. Rogers. That's something that you believe as well.
Well, as long as America and Saudi Arabia are trying to put pressure on Russia and Iran, you're going to see this continue, softness in the oil market. There's not much anybody can do about it as long as Saudi Arabia is doing what it's doing. It is good for some countries and industries. It is bad for others. It is certainly good for most people, for more people in the world than it suffers, but it's going to go on until America feels that it has gotten what it wants from the Russians and the Iranians, or until just the fundamentals come back and overpower the artificial selling.
All right, Mr. Rogers, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your views. And good to know that you finally changed your view and you're firing up Indian equity markets. Investors like you, if you continue to invest, of course, we're going to see new record highs every day, Mr. Rogers.
I own India. I told you I bought India. Now it's up to you. It's not up to you. It's up to Mr. Modi. You know, I'm quite happy to buy more if Mr. Modi produces instead of just talk.